Hello and welcome to this month's RLW Read, Listen, Watch from Roofers Coffee Shop. My name is Heidi Ellsworth and I am so excited about today's conversation. It is all about making service the cornerstone of your business. And we're not talking about just service and maintenance, which is so important in the top, but we're talking about the service, the customer service that comes with a great service and maintenance program. So we have brought our experts today from Boyd Bone Dry Roofing, Jeannie Boyd, and with Zach Carpenter from Jobba. We're going to have a great conversation about the importance of service today. Before we get started, I want a few housekeeping. This is being recorded and it will be available within 24 to 48 hours. We will have the chat open today, so please tell us where you're at, who you are, tell us a little bit about your company, and feel free to ask questions throughout the hour. We want to hear what you have to say. So let's get started. So, Zach, we have this right. I am so happy
Got
to
it. You're
say.
good. You're good.
We are so happy to have you here today. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about what you do with Jobba?
of course, of course. Thank you, Heidi. Yeah, with Java, so I work, I primarily serve in account management, working with new customers and helping our existing customers on our FCS product line. I was one of the co-founders with my family of that product. And so I've been in the industry about 16 going on 17 years, working specifically with commercial roofers to help develop and build out their service department. So I appreciate you taking the invite for me to be on the call today and look forward to some good thought-provoking discussion.
I love it. I love it. And Jeannie, I am so excited to have you on here today. We've been talking about this for a while. So can you introduce yourself? Tell us about your company.
Sure. I am Jeannie Boyd Curtis. I am a third generation commercial roofing contractor. Our office is located in Mansfield, Texas. And I'm excited to say that our company, Boyd Bone Dry, has been around for 51 years. So April 1st, we celebrate our 51st year, and that's exciting. And I'm also the president of the Roofing Contractors Association of Texas.
Yeah. That's
Impressive.
where, yeah, very
Yep.
impressive. And that's where we met, Jeannie, was at RCAT. And I just loved your show, love what you've done with the association. It's so great. And to have you here with the expertise from your company and Zach with your expertise, this is going to be great. So let's get started.
Do
Um,
it.
I do want to remind everybody one more time, the chat is open. And I already see folks coming in. Hello, everybody. Be sure to let us know who you are, where you're from, and be sure to ask questions or make comments or just applaud whenever you want to throughout the hour. So let's start here. Really, what we want to talk about is what makes what good customer service means, right? What does that mean? And so, Jeannie, you do this, your company does this, has done it for over 50 years or 50 years. Tell us a little bit what good customer service means to you.
Well, I have to tell you, I learned this from my dad because my dad has never made a cold call in his life. He hasn't. He's never had to make one. The reason he hasn't is because he's taught me from the go that building relationships is where service is at. It is all about that relationship piece because people want to do business with people that they trust and people that they like and people that they relate to. And so relationship building is the key and in my opinion, the cornerstone of having a strong service team. And it really is. It's just making those connections, what people have in common with you, building those relationships from there, the reliability, the availability, the consistency of it. All of it is so important. I think
Yeah.
people spend too much time in trying to sell their company. Don't try to sell your company. You're not trying to sell anybody anything. You're just trying to have a conversation with them, get to know them, find out what their interests are. What are their needs as a business owner, as a property manager, as a homeowner? What do they need and what do they want and expect from you in return? It's
Right.
it's just it speaks to my heart because we have so many long-term relationships with property managers, and they're the ones that are going to get the word out to other people to say, hey, call them over here at Boyd. Let them see if they can help and assist you and building that trust with them. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Jeannie, I think that is so true. And really, when you take the time to listen to somebody else and what they need, That's all people are looking for in customer service. I want someone to hear me.
Well, and especially on that front, like you said, everyone spends too much time trying to sell themselves, right? As I've developed throughout my career, I've found the most effective method for quote unquote sales is to not sell at all. This is exactly like you said, just listen to people, help them solve their problems and bring value. And that's good business, right? The cornerstone of business, and maybe not the cornerstone, but an important piece is that everyone's got to win, and so I think that's great. I'm glad to hear that you guys are doing that too, Jeannie.
We are, and even it's funny you even bring that up, Zach, because one of the ways that I got involved with Jobba in the first place
Yeah.
is through relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meeting
It's true.
somebody at Western States, and he's in California, and he's like, "Hey, you got to come over here. Have you met these guys over here?"
Yeah.
And it was just a relationship, and you guys didn't sell me a thing.
Right. Right.
It was just, "Hey, let's talk and tell me
Right.
about your company and what your needs are." And it's the same thing when you're out there in roofing.
It is.
What are their
I think
needs?
it can apply to any business model, right?
Yeah.
It's just the way, because no matter what you're doing business, B2C, B2B, however you want to look at it, it's still people, right? You're still dealing with people. And
Yeah.
anyone out there that's listening that's doing sales trainings or all these things, my piece of advice on that is just be the best possible communicator that you can. And there's a reason we have two ears and one mouth, right? Is listen.
Yes. And coming to the point here on reliability,
Hmm.
show up when you say you're gonna, when you say you're gonna meet somebody, another I'll this whole time I'll just give you mom and dad quotes because I live by my parents'
I
quote.
love it. Give
My
them
mother
all.
always said a man is only as good as his word. Well, man or
Yep.
woman or whatever you identify as, but you're only as good as what you say you're going to do. And
Hmm.
that's how you build that trust is through the availability, the reliability of just saying, I'm going to follow through in what I say I'm going to do. I'm going to be there when I say I'm going to be there. And just on reliability, be honest of what you can and can't do.
Totally.
If you go
Yeah.
up there and you don't know the answer to a problem that you see in a roof, just say,
Hmm.
I got to come back.
And I think people respect that transparency better. It's okay. People, shy away from the word no because it has such a negative connotation, right? But I
Yeah.
think people appreciate, I don't know that answer and I'm not going to sit here and pretend to for you, but what I will do is commit that I will figure it out for you. And that just goes so long, transparency, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's
Absolutely.
so true. And that that reliability that you're talking about, Jeannie, and I love, some people might say, well, consistency is kind of the same, but people want that consistency in the relationship. They want
Hmm.
to know that every time they see you, they're going to get the same kind of service.
Well, I think the consistency part too falls into it doesn't matter whether you're just doing some flashing work or whether you're doing an entire re-roof. Every project should be treated the same.
Yeah.
And that's what they're looking for. They're looking for you to, no matter the size of the project, for them to be treated the same, for your team to share the same consistency across the team as far as professionalism goes. And just how you communicate. You're communicating the same and your standards are the same and making sure that consistency flows regardless, just throughout the entire process of relationships.
Yeah. It's really
100%.
so true. Okay, so let's talk about why. Why I always
Yeah.
like to talk about why is this so important and why it's important to build a service first culture, right? Because a lot of people are like, well, you can think of this in so many ways, but we do new construction or we do, re-roofs, and that's kind of our big thing. And then we have service. But when you really think service first, it's kind of in a couple different ways, right? As you're
Hmm.
looking at that. So Zach, talk to us a little bit about why. Why
Yeah,
should
totally.
contractors really be focused on building a service first culture?
100%. And I find this a lot, right? A lot of the business we do, just because our software is so heavily ingrained in service and maintenance, is I do get a lot of contractors, especially that are looking to go from residential into commercial service, or like you said, they're kind of in that new construction public bid world and they want to find a way out, right? So, and I know we have some points here, but when I start to think about that, when I have these discussions with people, ultimately, I look at it as being able to gain control over your business and have predictable, reliable revenue, and not putting yourself in a position where lowest price wins, and being able to do better business with your clients. And I think, to our first point in differentiation, that's what'll help set you aside, being able to go get with the customer and sit with them, and not just say, oh, you need a new roof, but collaborate in their roof management, and meet with them and review their needs and get a good understanding, right? And then you start talking about, maintaining that. And I see a lot of that through maintenance agreements and things of that nature. But ultimately, I think that the why is to service your clients better and stand out in the market, but ultimately to give you more control of your business. Like with this topic, Jeannie, what was it with your organization that led you guys into doing service?
You know why? It was money.
Hey, yep, yeah, I hear you. It is.
It's
It's
the
high
profit
margin.
margin, the
Yep, it's
profit
the
margin
profit
on
margin.
service
Yep.
work. It's something that doesn't have a whole lot of liability behind it,
Mm-hmm.
but that's kind of what got us started. And then just coming back to that relationship piece, you'd go in, you'd do a re-roof. Well, you don't
Yeah,
want to just go in and say, okay, I'm done. I'll see you in, 15 years when you need another roof.
exactly. Yeah, call me if it leaks.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, you want to follow up and keep up with them and
Mm-hmm.
build that culture of I'm going to take care of you from the time I step foot on your roof to the time you retire and move on. And then I want to meet the property owner after you because
Exactly.
it's my roof now.
Yep.
And one of those points is respect the property. People, this is a long-term investment for people and for business owners. And so respect that fact and treat it like that. I mean, how you treat your own roof is how you should treat your customer's roof.
Right.
And yesterday, or when we were doing our practice, Jeannie, you added that specifically, respect of the property.
Mm-hmm.
I love that because really that is what good service and maintenance is getting up there, checking it twice a year or more, however, whatever needs, and really respecting and giving that roofing system life,
Yeah.
Yeah.
long-term life because of good health checks, right? And so it creates that respect that I just thought that was so brilliant when you brought that up.
Well, and it summarizes the other points so well, right? Is in order to hit all the other things, you can start with such a simple thing of just have respect for the building, right? I mean, it starts there.
Yes. Well, that building is taking care of so many things.
Oh yeah.
And, I think I told you guys that story of being up on a roof with my dad and him just saying to me, what's the most important part of this roof? What is it? And I was like, the membrane? And he's like,
Yeah.
no, it's the people underneath it.
Yeah.
Dad, I hate these trick questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the people, he's like, no,
Yeah.
that's why you're here. You need to respect this part of the roof system, yes, but it's because it's protecting those people underneath it, those people that you
Yeah.
have relationships, those people that are going to call you back because you have that service culture built into your leadership at work and your
Hmm.
company. It's beautiful when
Yeah.
you think about it. It really is. It gives
It's
back in this industry.
Well, and I think an important thing too is, at least in listening to you talk through these things, is you can really tell your passion for this, right?
Mhm.
Like, and I think that's why we were all so excited to have you as a part of this session, is you can just really tell that you're not just saying these things because they're the right things to say, but that you live these things. So just wanted to give you some kudos for that.
Thank you. I
You're
love this.
welcome.
Mhm.
I love it. I love it. And really, it makes sense when you're looking at this,
Hmm.
differentiating your business, maintaining the roof, respecting the roof. So I think the thing that comes out of this and what we're talking about, because Jeannie, I love your stories about, what your dad said is the people underneath, but it takes leadership. It takes this
Hmm.
isn't just for the service department. This is a company as a whole culture and really understanding those key points
Hmm.
on strategy. So, Jeannie, I would love for you to kind of share some of those key strategies that you found with your company of fostering that service first culture.
Oh, and this is one of the easiest things to do, but it's one of the hardest to remember. And lead by example. And that is we call them Monday mashups, and it's just a meeting where we come together. We've got everybody, every employee's there, and we just talk about why we're here, what we believe in, what our standards are, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And we just model excellence, because it does. It starts at the top, and you just have to be that model. And people are going to start to repeat the words. Like I hear my I call my people, my employees, our family here at Boyd, repeating what I say because they've heard me say it. So I hear them tell customers that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they sound just like me. And
I love it. Yeah.
For the most part, it's good. Now, I have had people that have accused me of, you sound just like your father. I'm like, compliment? I don't know.
No, he knew what he was doing. So thank you.
Yes. And, touching on training programs, bringing people in, let your people, I can't think of the quote, but it's make sure your people are trained enough that they can leave, but loved enough that they don't want to.
That's good.
So training
Another nugget. Write that down, everybody.
Yes.
The nuggets. Love the nuggets.
Let them go to every training they can, whatever manufacturers out there, plant tours, whatever's there. Educate them. And in the process, educate yourself as well. I'm back at school. I'm part of the Future Executive Institute with NRCA, and I love it. But it's modeling for my employees that you never know enough. You always need to be learning. You always need to be growing. And I have lots of growth ahead of me, but we're constantly sending people for training. We bring people in. When we started to launch Jobba, it was a lengthy process. And we're like, okay, I don't know enough. I need help. We brought him in. We brought him to Texas and said, come into our office. And it was great because I sat in the training too. Everybody attended the training.
You led by example.
Secretaries up front attended the training. We're like, this is a whole piece together. We're going to be working together.
Well, because if the company doesn't have that consistent central messaging, and you have your departments working in silos, it's just not sustainable, right? It's just, so it's good. I agree with you 100% in the lead by example, and it's good to see you standing up for those values too, because you're in a position of influence as well, right? You're on boards and associations, and your words carry a lot of weight, and you have a lot of influence and reach. And so, it's nice to be able to hear such a positive messaging.
And, coming to hiring practices, reflecting core values, the last thing you want to do is hire a new part of your service team and say, go service.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. Everybody in life needs a mentor.
Right.
And rotate those mentors. There are mentors for certain times and certain seasons of your life. Same in jobs. There are times that, you might get a new guy and he's going to be part of your service crew, and you've got him with a partner and a peer. But it's really great when the leader steps up, like for me to hire a new crew member and walk that roof with him, have him hear me talk to other crew members, have him hear me talk to property managers. How do I sell my service team to people? Because he's going to start to reiterate that to the service crews as well. The train the trainer program, basically.
Yeah. We're big on that.
It makes sense. And this was another thing that we added as we were talking through all of this, but that professionalism, which really goes back to respecting the roof, respecting your customers, but always bringing professionalism first. I think that is something that in customer service is so important, and in giving that service.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my opinion, it's the professionalism it's not just in the way that they're speaking to the customer and showing the respect. It's in the way they look, their appearance, their uniforms, all the way down to their tools and their gear. I mean, customers want to know that your people are safe, that they're modeling safe practices.
Yeah.
Do they have everything they need to be and look and appear safe? And that's just so important, that they understand safety's first up there. And just, are they communicating professionally? And where's the ownership to it? So, make your service believable.
Is so true. I mean, that really, and I think that's across every Everything you do is having that, from the person answering the phone to the person out on the roof, bringing that professionalism in is so important. And really, when you're looking at it, encouraging open communication and trust. And that's what that does. That professionalism leads to people feeling good. Zach, talk to us
Yeah.
a little bit about that the importance of that open communication and building
Yeah.
trust.
Absolutely. I mean, and Jeannie brings up a lot of good points, right? So if we take back to, like we had said before, leading with excellence. So when you enforce that centralized messaging, you are able to, and if your company has a culture of lead by example, it allows you to be able to trust more because you know that the things that are important to you are being represented within your organization, right? And the lead by example concept, I think, is so strong, especially in roofing too. We made a couple examples to, let's say, service crews that has like the lead and then the helper. Being able to work with those individuals and teach them, but not have, because ego gets in the way in so many things in life, right? And
Yeah.
so when people are on the same page that you're working towards a unified mission and you're able to take feedback from clients and from other employees and actually implement that real change and the employees see that their leadership is walking the walk and not just talking the talk. I think that goes a really long way, especially in terms of, you start to think about like accountability and making sure that because these are all great things, right? But then we have organizations that require the implementation of these concepts and that's hard, right? Is how do you hold people accountable and things like that and like what do you find, Jeannie, is one of the biggest things that you guys do within your organization that one encourages your people to have an open communication from the understanding that they can trust that their words, their concerns, their questions, whatever it may be, are going to be handled appropriately. Do you guys have any like special practices or?
Honestly, it's just being a genuine person.
Yeah, it goes a long
Caring
way.
about
Yeah.
people. It, it's it really is. It's just that care factor that,
Hmm.
that you matter. You matter, and your opinion matters. Um, Coming into this whole open communication and trust and that transparency piece. So Zach, I want to cover
Yeah,
when we started with Jobba, we were
totally.
really open and honest with our crew and our service team
Yeah.
that, hey, this is going to be painful. And I
Yeah.
think I think people you shell out a whole bunch of money and you think this
Hmm.
program's going to come in and it's going to fix all your problems.
Right.
Software is not going to fix your
Yep.
problem.
Well, we actually did a webinar on that probably 8 months ago that said technology won't fix your people per process problem, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Because it's true.
And so we were just very transparent in, look, this is going to be slow.
Hmm.
It's going to be slow. It's not going to happen in 30 days. It's probably not going to happen in 60.
Hmm.
Guys, it might be 6 months. Oh, wait, it
Right.
might be a year.
It might.
You just
Yeah.
don't know because everybody's coming in at different learning points, different technology points, different backgrounds, different time frames, and just being open and honest, say, these are the company goals, and then set personal goals for people.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I had a personal goal for an employee that was just to check an email every day.
Yeah.
You can
That's
open
awesome.
his Gmail. Thumbs
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did a
Totally.
good
Yeah, no, it
job.
makes sense. Yeah.
Meet people
Stepping
where
stones.
they're at and grow them from there.
And good.
Yeah, I always say too, from like a management or a leadership standpoint, is no one's perfect, right? And it doesn't do anyone any good just trying to highlight people's negatives or things like that. You gotta lean into people's strengths and play off their weaknesses. That's how you build and run a strong team is understanding that no one's perfect. People are gonna have flaws. Some people don't know how to open Gmail, right? But they're
Yeah.
good at other things. And you got to leverage that and get the most out of it. And to me, that's strong leadership is where it starts.
And,
And I think, oh, go ahead, Jeannie.
I was just gonna say, coming back to what you had said,
Hmm.
promote your people. And
Right.
so one of the best things in the world, I mean, later on, if you hear down the road, Zach, that I'm talking to somebody else and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
you met Zach Carpenter, he's a great guy over at Jobba.
Right.
When that comes back to you, you're gonna be
Yep.
like, did you hear what Jeannie said about me? Like,
Totally.
you're gonna be like,
100%.
Yeah.
that's so cool. And
Yep.
so
Love Jeannie.
when my guys are up and they've
Yeah.
heard from a customer that, oh, you want Tony out there looking at this roof, and Tony
Mm-hmm.
was out there, they're gonna be like, oh, you're Tony. I've heard good things about you.
Totally. And
Tony,
that's going to make Tony have a
yes,
sense of ownership over that situation or that property. It's going to elevate his respect for that client, which, it's hard to do.
it
Yeah.
is. It
And
is.
I think everything that you are both saying too, and we're talking a lot about the employees, which I think is so important, but you are modeling behavior then on how they're going to talk to your customers, how they're
Mm-hmm.
going to talk to the facility managers or the building owners with transparency and honesty of, you know what? This is going to take a little bit more work. There's a problem
Yeah.
here. We're going to have to do some research, some core samples, those kind of things, Jeannie, and even
Mm-hmm.
talking about you walking the roof and train the trainer. I think that open communication and trust is so important with your
Yeah.
customers.
Mhm.
Well, and I think a good summary of even this topic is open communication builds trust in it,
Mm-hmm.
and that can be multifaceted and whatever, but at the core of it, I think that's a strong point.
Mhm.
Okay, so to that point, one of the things is having the right tools to be able to
Mm-hmm.
have that kind of open, honest
Totally.
communication and build trust. So, as we're looking at how technology helps deliver outstanding service, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
always one like building owners have to love it when they have a
Yeah.
portal to look at, when they can have all of the
Mm-hmm.
information right in front of them. So, Zach, talk a little bit about how companies, just like you did
Yeah.
with Boyd Bone Dry, how do you work with
Absolutely.
companies to bring in this technology to really help them just amplify their outstanding
Totally.
service?
Well, and so this is an interesting topic, and like I said, we want to try and be thought provoking in these conversations. So when I look at this, I think there's two facets, right? There's the benefits that the roofing company and or our client gets. Then there's the benefits that their clients get, our customers. And I think as long as our customer, the contractor, understands the balance between internal efficiency and better communication and the whole package for their client, is where it starts, right? So we look at like the CRM, for example. I think it's really important that you have a CRM that directly represents your type of business. And what I mean by that is there's commercial software, there's residential software, there's general contractor software. Is one, making sure that you have the right tools in place that support your business model. But then two, we start to look at it on that concept of let's take a commercial-based CRM. A commercial-based CRM, and in the definition of a CRM is a customer relationship manager. So it's not about using a system to just track all your jobs, right? That's great. But what you really want, and when I do my presentations, I try and tell this part as a joke, and it never lands. So I'm just gonna say it normal. But like these CRMs, what they're effectively doing is helping you build the roof facts for that building, so that if no matter what happens, and it really goes back to Jeannie's point of respect the property, is keeping the documentation, tracking the service history, the budgets, and having all of that data ultimately available for the building. Buildings change ownership, right? Someone comes in, buys it, whatever, and it gets inherited. But the ability for you guys to retain that data and bring that value to the customer of I have the history of your roof in my platform. And so that plays to some of the other benefits the clients receive. But in terms of delivering, outstanding service from an internal efficiency standpoint, you will never be able to match the speed and efficiency that you can respond to a customer's request and ultimately resolve their problem, in a paper and pen to technology comparison. I don't care who they are or how fast you can write. You cannot dispatch a work order and get it in your tech's hands on paper faster than I can look at the schedule, assign it, dispatch it, and have them go out there and document it, right? It's not possible. And, when we first started, the company FCS and Jobba, back 2008, 2009, we were met with a lot of resistance. That was like iPhone 2, iPhone 3, and it was no, our guys are not going to use an iPhone on the roof. That's crazy. You know, like you're crazy. They're going to keep using their digital cameras, and they're going to come back and download all the pictures and build it in Microsoft Word, and we got our reports, right? And I just luckily, as the industry has evolved and time has gone on with technology developments, a lot of people understand that now. I'm now met with nowhere near the same level of resistance to technology adoption than I have been in the past. So that is definitely refreshing. But being able to then leverage those items to your customers, to me, makes it just such a no-brainer that if you're going into a commercial service and maintenance department, and I'm not, I will promote our company, obviously, and say Jobba is a great option, but everybody's different and there's tons of tools. People need to evaluate what's best for them and what meets their needs initially. But that's the thing, is understanding that you're gonna get those internal efficiencies and benefits, but so are your clients, and you need to be able to be aware enough to represent those benefits to your customer. And like Jeannie said, inherently know enough that you realize that the pain of a 6 month or a 12-month implementation is for a reason, right? So, yeah, I think that pretty much sums up what I wanted to say on that particular item. But what do you think about any of that, Jeannie?
Zach, what I got out of that is you're really young because
Thank you. I'll take that as
digital
a compliment.
cameras.
Yep.
Well, I have to tell you,
Yep.
when I started here, we were on Polaroids to the disposable cameras.
Yep. Yep.
And you would have to wait like 2 weeks to, go down to the CVS or the Walgreens,
Totally.
get them printed off, and then you'd have to
Yep.
put them down for your clients, and you're
Yep.
like, I'll get you before and afters in, 4 weeks.
Well, my
Yeah.
stepdad actually used to use Polaroids. The digital camera was obviously just, yeah, you're correct. I am youngish, and it was the phase I came in. But he used to use the Polaroids and a glue stick and would glue
Mhm.
pictures onto a report, right? And it worked. It was effective.
I got trucking crates of that stuff out
Do
here.
you? Oh, that's awesome.
Trucking crates of it. But no, it's a process. And I
Hmm.
for the like all our clients understood when we changed CRMs. And
Right.
I will tell you, and I'm not promoting Jobba, I know everybody does a report here, but
Of course.
one of the things that I did get when we made the switch to Jobba
Hmm.
was it was slower for us because there was a learning curve for our guys and everything like
Yeah.
that. But our property managers were like, I got to tell you, I love the before and after reports you sent out because we were getting those
That's
right away.
right.
I mean, deficiency reports, they were getting those immediately, like 24 hours after we go on the roof, they'd get their deficiency report.
Yep.
And the carrier piece, the carriers loved that
Mhm.
because they were able to submit that to their insurance company, go, look, this is what our roofer just sent us.
Yep.
And they love just having that immediate feedback. The carrier's like, well, did they submit an estimate? Yes, we'll get that over to you.
Right.
And just the presentation of that to our clients, they were totally on board.
Totally.
So
And they're probably more apt to pay the invoices. That's just things we find, the inherent benefits, reduced pay cycles, things like that.
yes,
And
it's
what you
service.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
what you
awesome.
talked about at the beginning totally goes into this, right? You talked about reliability,
Mhm.
availability, consistency. All of that becomes possible when you use technology and have that
Correct.
effectiveness. And I love this last one. And Jeannie, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you because I got all excited. But when you look at transparency, that's really what you just said for that facility manager, that business owner. They can go in and they can look at past
Mhm.
reports, they can look at current reports, everything.
Yes. And they really do. They appreciate it. Half the time they don't want to get up on that roof. So
Right.
No.
especially when it's
No.
120 degrees in Texas, they don't want to get up.
Exactly. Exactly.
And some of them I don't want on a roof with me because I'm like,
Your
that
guys don't even want to go up there at that point, but they just have to,
Yeah.
you have to,
Yeah.
Zach, you
Yeah,
gotta cover
exactly. You
it.
have to.
But
Mornings.
Hmm. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's great.
go ahead, Jeannie.
No, I was just gonna say it's all part of delivering that outstanding service to your client is them being able to see what was on their roof, what deficiencies found. The before and after photos just speak volumes to them.
Totally.
It's the transparency, it's the honesty, and especially when you can produce that right down there for them to say, hey, let me show you what I just found up there.
Yeah.
Golly, they just
Right
love
away too. You know, even if it's only a couple days, a few days, there's not a lag because they still have other responsibilities, right? This is just a facet of their responsibilities of making sure these items are running correctly and in terms of like a property manager or something like that. But yeah, 100%. I feel like it's the quicker you can get people the information while it's fresh on on their mind, like we said, they're more apt to pay, to approve, to collaborate, I think is the key here is if I were to take from at least this segment of our discussion, a takeaway for everyone would be that is collaboration. Is that the
Right.
key to all of this is the technology will enable you to better collaborate with your client base and everything else follows.
yes.
And that then builds trust that they're going to let you onto their next roof
Yep,
or their next building. So
exactly.
it all goes together. So, okay, Jeannie, and you've been through this. You've brought Jobba on. You are using it effectively, and I'm sure you can talk about that. But it seems to me that getting technology as part of your customer service commitment is really shines the brightest when there is a problem, when issues arrive. So talk a little bit about how you're using this customer first, service first culture philosophy with technology to kind of deal with issues as they come along.
Oh, yeah, in so many ways. Delivering great service when issues arise. It really is, again, that having the speed to be able to show a client, and I'm going to come back to that transparency piece. It happens when you get up there and you go, I have no idea what I'm looking at. And being able to show them photos of, hey, when I was out on your roof when it was dry 2 weeks ago, this is what your roof looked like.
Yeah.
This is your roof today after we've
Yep.
had 2 weeks of water. The purpose of a roof is to shed water. You know, this roof isn't shedding water. That's what this roof is designed to do. It's not, why is it not? I can't figure it
Right.
out. You got the proper number of drains, you got the proper number of scuppers. I don't know. They can see it. They then trust that you're honest, that you're open. They see that you actually looked at something, that you know what you looked at. They know you know what you're talking about. And then you have the ability to say, let me bring this back to our experts in our office, or, hey, we may have to consult an engineer on this, or, hey, how long have you had these problems? I've only been on your building for the last 6 months. Did you have these previously? Well, they're going to automatically see that, oh, wait, had I been with her for a year, she would have known what my roof looked like 6 months
Yeah.
ago.
Right.
Hold on. I
Right.
don't know what my roof
Light
looked like
bulb.
6 months ago because I wasn't provided anything.
Mm-hmm.
So right there, you've sold them on this person goes out to roofs and talks to them about 6 months ago. I bet she can tell her other clients what their roof looked like 6 months ago. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
they are going to trust that I'm going to bring that great service to them, that transparency, that openness and honestness.
Yep.
It's all just a piece of that puzzle.
Because you have the roof facts.
Yes, there you
Just kidding.
go. Roof facts.
Trying to
Right.
make
No.
that work. Yeah.
Right there in your
I'm
CRM.
just kidding.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, and I think also really when you look at this, by having the ability to look at those past photos, to look at the past inspections, that when they're it gives you that opportunity to sit with that facility manager and say, let's do some planning. Let's do
Mhm.
some planning. We know we
Mhm.
get hit with hail every year, big hailstorms. What are we doing on your roof? How can we help minimize the damage? What's
Yeah.
happening? And so, Jeannie, when you really look at that what we were saying here, anticipating the needs, proactive planning, that only comes from having that data and that relationship.
Well, and part of that also, we get hail here and storms here and everything else, but part of that proactive plan is also tied into scheduling because they need to understand,
Mhm.
you need to be able to communicate with them and say, hey, I know it's raining and you have a leak right now, but we're going to have to plan to get out there and be proactive to get out there in 3 days because
Mhm.
I can't go up there when we're expecting torrential, tornadic hurricane-like storms
Yep.
the next
Right.
day.
We're protecting our people. I mean,
Safety
you
is the
have
most
to.
important.
Yeah.
Yes. You're gonna have to get a trash can for those leaks right now. But communicating
Yeah.
that, but being proactive to call them ahead of time in the storm. Hey, if this leaks, or we just went out, I know we went out there last week, we flashed this, we did what we could. Call me when we're getting these storms next week. Call us if it rains, let us know. But still, even though you've told them, go ahead and call us, call them ahead of time. When those
Right.
hit, and go, I don't know what it's doing in Dallas, but it's pouring over here in Mansfield. Hey, is your roof leaking? Do it. You know, how's
and how much
right now?
Being able to collaborate like
So
that,
awesome.
how much easier does it make it to sell preventative maintenance programs, right? And saying that, you know, we know that these storms are expected. We know that these facilities you guys are managing have these problems that already exist. And we know we need to come out there once every 6 months and touch things up. And and again, sell is not the right word, but the ability to get the client on those recurring maintenance programs becomes so much easier when you're collaborating and when you're honest, and you know, because it is the right thing to do ultimately.
So true.
And it's interesting because property managers love it, because when you call a property manager and you say, okay, look, I'm going to call you next week because I know we're getting some storms in. I want to know how like that northeast corner is doing. When you call and it's raining and you're like, okay, it's raining in Mansfield. What's it look like in Dallas? Is it coming down there? And you're like, what's that northeast corner of this property look like? And they're like, let me call that tenant because
Yep.
I don't know. They haven't
Yep.
complained yet. Then it's on their radar. They call that tenant. They look better now to the tenant because they
Oh
felt,
yeah, because
and
they were proactive.
yes.
Yeah,
And
it's a
sometimes they're like,
win-win-win.
let me give you the direct number. Would you call the tenant and check? That's fine.
Yeah,
Other times they want to be the one, but then that tenant's going to stay with them in that
yeah.
property because they know they're taken care of by the property manager.
And they lower their guard. They let, even just like you said, will you call the tenant? In what world are they just going to be like, yeah, sure, call my tenant, you know?
Yeah.
It's just not,
When
this is
there's
not how they do it.
trust.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
It makes such a difference. And of course, if you're
trust
in
and
the area, you
answers.
can stop by, but
hmm
you know, it is wonderful. And tenants love it too when they can get a photo and say, hey,
Yeah,
this is the corner that was leaking. Could you let me know if it's still leaking today?
totally. Well, they feel involved, right? They feel like they have a say in it. They feel like you know, it's not just, oh, well, he's not the property manager isn't taking care of it, right? It's like, no, you're involved. We're all collaborating.
It's a
Yeah.
2-minute proactive approach.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yes.
makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. I want to remind everybody the chat is open. I know I'm so engaged too. I almost forget telling
Like
everybody the
everyone's just
chat is
listening.
open.
Yeah.
I know. So if you have questions, comments, I've seen a couple of claps and hearts go up. Thank you so much. And I also had some nice notes here in the chat saying you guys are the best and great content. So just so you know. But please ask questions. And what you were just talking about that proactive call to your customer and then possibly to those tenants, it's all about building loyalty, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that service first culture that drives brand loyalty. So, Zach, let's talk a little bit. Let's keep that discussion
Yeah, of
going
course.
because that is really, I think, makes a huge difference.
Oh, 100%. And I think this segues so well into even just continuing where we were going with that is like we said, that collaboration. So if you're working in a position like that, let's use the example we just used where, you know, someone on their team calls and checks in and they say, oh, you know, why don't you reach out to the tenant? That level of trust from that customer, I think the odds of them going and even entertaining other contractors and things at that point is just it just doesn't make sense, right? You build that loyalty just through the collaboration and working together. I almost as if the loyalty, you really, it should just come as a byproduct of doing good business, right?
Yeah.
You're going out, you're helping them fix their problems. You know, it's not about pointing blame or anything like that. You know, but again, I think that keyword of collaboration is so strong. You know, and Jeannie, do you guys do anything unique in terms of like customer loyalty programs, or because I've always thought of these kind of concepts that you know, could be pretty effective. Just curious if you guys have ever implemented anything like that.
Just maintaining relationships.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Goes a long way.
if you've got a baby, I'll remember to say congratulations next week.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yep.
It's that type of thing. Of course, we have all the swag. We can give you a coffee cup.
Yeah.
We got these cool pens that, you know, I use
Yeah.
it in restaurants because I'm blind and they have a little light at the end.
Right.
I can
No,
see the menu.
100%.
And you've got that stuff that reminds them that you're there.
Mm-hmm.
They can go buy that stuff. They don't
Totally.
that stuff, but that piece of relationship is going to be what they're looking for. That branding
Yeah.
piece of, I like
Right.
people at Boyd. They're nice, they're kind, they're
Yeah.
friendly, they follow through, they care. Listening is building our brand. I can't
Totally.
tell you how many times I will say, we get a leak call. The number one thing you can do is stop and listen. And I repeat it back.
Yeah.
I'll say, hold on, this is important. I'm writing this and I'm a slow writer.
Let me just make sure I heard you.
Let me make sure I have this right. That's how you build that brand loyalty, is by showing that you're listening, you care. To them right there, when they have a roof leak, nothing else matters.
Yep.
I mean, you can have a 4-year-old at the doctor. That's fine. And that's
exactly.
time. But to them right now, they've got 16 tenants calling them about roof leaks.
Right.
And it needs to be addressed immediately.
And if you've got that sick kid, then you need to give that to somebody else right then. So that client feels they're still the number one important thing.
Totally.
Yes, no matter what's happening, somebody's there for them.
Yes.
And I love it because as you put in here, addressing it quickly, owning it, and that's really what all goes into it. Because, and I always kind of am like, I want to treat people like I want to be treated. And I think if you think about that, those are the things, what you're saying here builds loyalty. Everyone makes mistakes, but if you own it and you get back to me and you're open and honest about it,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, let's keep going.
Let's do it. Let's do more.
Yeah. I want to real quick, we have some great comments and a really good question here. So
totally.
First, Jason and Aaron both said fantastic content, great reminders for sharing today. But Vanessa, thank you so much. She has just a great question that Jeannie, I think you will be able to answer. If you are first starting your service department and it is small, how do you get started in building that trust or services, especially if you do not have the time initially with multiple properties?
Good question, Vanessa.
Yeah.
Building that trust when you're small. I am small. Give you a peace of mind, but you can do it. And that's inappropriate to say size doesn't matter, but it really doesn't. Relationships are a one-on-one thing. And so no matter the size of your team, you don't want to spread anybody too thin, but you're just duplicating a process. So they're duplicating a process. So whether your service team is 20,000, you're teaching them how to duplicate a process, team to team, person to person, member to member. And so don't think of it as you're small. And also don't take on too much that you're going to disappoint clients, because you can't build a brand if you're disappointing people. So
it goes back to what we said earlier. It's okay to say no sometimes.
Right
way, right?
Grow at a safe rate. You don't want a massive boom of business all of a sudden that you can't take care of, because that is going to hurt your brand. Start out slowly, build that, grow that, make that happen, then do a little bit more, and add on a little bit each time to grow that. I hope that answered your question, Vanessa.
I think, and I wanted to add one thing there because I just heard this at a conference recently, but really focusing on the customers you have, right? You've done re-roofs, you have customers out there. It's like you said earlier, Jeannie, that's not a cold call. That is somebody you already know who you can talk to about their service programs that you can take care of. And it's all right there. It's not like you have to go out and find all these new customers. Take care of the ones you have.
Well, and that's actually, oh, sorry, Jeannie, you go and I'll add after.
Vanessa, I see you mentioned when you don't have the time, find the pockets of time. And remember, it can be as simple as an email. It can be a text. But even if you're in the car getting gas, clients appreciate when you're like, hey, I just popped in the car. I got to tell you, I'm about to drive through carpool, but I was thinking about your roof today. Or I just stopped for gas and I saw this and it reminded me of you guys. Just wanted to check in and see if everything's okay. Use the little pockets of time. If you're just slammed and you don't have any time, it just takes a few moments to let them know you checked in. Even if it just goes to voicemail, or you're just voice texting something on a text message, a little pocket of time goes a long way.
Yeah, totally.
I love that. I was thinking about your roof today.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I'm
And
waiting to
Vanessa
pick
has,
up my kids.
yeah, I know.
Yep.
Vanessa has a follow-up. What if the first client is a property management company and the horse has left the stable on a nationwide scale? Well, first of all,
Congratulations. Yeah,
congratulations.
exactly. Number one, good job.
Wow. Thoughts, Zach? You've seen a
Yeah, I
lot of
mean,
nationwide company or facility management and contractors working with
absolutely.
them.
That's what I was going to add a minute ago is, and I don't know if this is directly related to Vanessa's situation, but I do, like we talked about earlier, I do work with a lot of contractors trying to get into this realm. And I feel like you had said before too, calling your old clients and things, a quick call and introduction, like, hey, I've been thinking about your roof today. Go out, do that free inspection, do that free assessment, and then take that data and sit and collaborate with them. And I think ultimately, Vanessa, especially in trying to operate a service capacity on a nationwide scale, the collaboration is going to be your best friend in terms of making this relationship as effective as possible, is being able to get with them and one, set realistic expectations. Don't bite off that you're going to inspect their buildings across the entire country in the next 60 days. It's not going to happen. But tell them little, like, little pockets of buildings too. Let's focus on these. And then, but you've got to wow them with the first few. You've got to go out and you have to impress them. And ultimately, the goal, like we try and promote with our software too, is once you get those reports and you have the assessment of the condition of the existing property, your goal is to get on the same side of the table as that client. You want to be able to sit down with them and go through that report and say, look, this is going to be an issue. This is ultimately what I recommend. And a lot of times, not just going for the roof replacement will inadvertently end up getting it for you too. I'm sure you guys have run into that. But it's just to me, and I think especially in that position for contractors starting off is consistency, but then harnessing the power of collaboration is really what's going to take you the furthest.
Yeah. And go ahead, Jeannie.
Another quote. This one's from my mom. Don't
Let's
you
do it.
can't maintain.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because quality control is everything. And if you can't maintain it, you're just going to disappoint somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't cook dinner every Tuesday night, don't cook dinner on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
That's so good. And we're going to go, actually, our next topic was on extreme growth, which sounds like what you're having, Vanessa. But before we do that, I have to say, this is my favorite comment in the chat
This
overall
is good.
of all time. And
Yeah.
that is from Gary Boyd. Thank you. He says, that's my daughter. Makes me
So
teary.
proud.
It took me a while, Gary, to say it
Yep.
because I get teary over these things. So
Well, it's
that
awesome.
was awesome. So okay, let's talk a little bit about what Vanessa led us into this perfect on maintaining high service standards while scaling. Because you've seen a lot of scaling. Jeannie, let's start with you. As you're growing your business with your dad and your mom, talk to us a little bit about what are some effective ways to do that.
Oh, and actually it's hard because I came into a generational company that really, I mean, we've grown, but it was never my father's intention to be this multi-billion-dollar roofing company. His intention was to take care of his family. Build it enough, know what your goals are. So Dad's goals were to build this company enough that his family was provided for. They had what they needed. We got a couple of vacations a year. We didn't have to worry about, staying at Motel 6s. We could go at comfortable places that we wanted to stay at and enjoy ourselves and have a comfortable life. That's the goal. And so know what your goals are as you're scaling and as you're growing your service standards. If your goal is to be the $20 million company, the $20 billion company, that's a fantastic goal to have. But as you're building and growing, make sure your systems are in place for the next level as you're getting there. Because, I'll be honest, Jobba is a beast of a CRM. It does so much more than we're doing now with it. But that we signed on with that intention of, hey, because I want to grow a little bit more than my granddaddy did and a little bit more than my dad did. And so we signed on knowing this can do more down the road for us.
Right. You had the long-term commitment, right? You
It
had the
is.
vision.
That's how you scale, is see the long-term commitment, see your long-term goals, and be prepared to grow with that. And along the way, communicate with your people so they know, because if they're going to be intimidated, it's like giving somebody a brand new iPhone that's never used an iPhone. They're like, holy smokes, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this witchcraft?
Yes. And you have to be able to say, hey, it does a lot of things. It has a lot of apps here. We're just going to use these 3 right here.
Right
now we're going to do
exactly.
And then we'll use these other widgets later.
Get your little wins.
Yeah, communicate.
As you grow.
Them know. And every time I update my iPhone software, it does something new and something cooler. I learned that if you type wow, you can make it so it pops wow now.
Yeah, I know.
And
we're awesome.
Yes,
your CRM.
Yeah, they're changing too. So let your people know that there's going to be change along the way that happens to what you're already doing.
Totally.
And we're building and growing and scaling with it.
And leveraging the data too, right? Like our next point is like just training and leadership. When I'm meeting with contractors, we have this report in our system, where it's just called our service report, but it's KPI metrics on profitability of not only each individual job, but as each encompassing what I would call service buckets, right? Your service types, there's T&M, contract warranty, RTM. But then it also breaks down and provides data on profitability of each crew. And with that, it's not about, and ultimately we do business for money, however you want to look at it, making sure you're hitting your profit margins. But that data enables access to information that you would otherwise not be able to find. And what I mean by that is within that report, it breaks out the margin per service crew of their profitability on both individually labor and materials. Without access to that, if they're lacking in their gross margin in labor, maybe they need better training. If they're lacking in materials, maybe they're wasting too many materials. And how else would you know that other than following them around all day, right? And so it's about leveraging these things and then ultimately data at the end of the day. But I wanted to provide that input on the training and leadership part.
I think it's so true, Zach, exactly what you're saying. It's perfect. And as we've been talking about communications, I can't believe how fast this hour has gone. So
I know, flew by.
we're gonna get to the last one, but I do want to say Vanessa said that is my exact situation, Jeannie. Thank you for the guidance. So Vanessa, if you want to put your email in there, if you want to reach out to Jeannie, we always like to network people, or you can always email me, Heidi at RoofersCoffeeShop.com, and I'll get you introduced. So, we're all in this together, and this is pretty awesome. So last slide, we only have a little bit of time, but let's just talk about, Zach, how do you get this information? How do people who want to follow the same path as Jeannie and Boyd, Bone Dry, how do they get on the CRM and get involved with Jobba?
100%. Like Heidi said, we love to network and be able to work with and communicate with people. I do all of our intake and presentations and everything. So anyone that is listening that's interested in exploring the technology side and, even just wants to have conversations, you should go to our website, jobba.com. There you can fill out a form and it'll come right to me, and we'll set up a time to do a call and walk through your needs. Other than that, like Heidi said, the coffee shops and the content that they provide is just an immense level of value. Follow them on social, subscribe to their emails, attend these read, listen, and watches. And then throughout the industry, there are, individuals that we work with and build with and can introduce you guys to from a consultative type approach. But ultimately it just starts with, don't be scared for anyone to reach out, or, even if you feel like, oh, I mean, these are big companies, we're not ready for that. I can assure you that is not necessarily true. Everyone has to start somewhere. So if you want to do more with the technology side, feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my email in the thing too, if anyone wants to reach out directly. But if you go to our website, it'll come right to me. But there's resources.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If you could put your contact information in there. Jeannie, real quick, last thoughts.
I'm going to say find mentors and don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Network, because again, coming back to accepting responsibility, and you don't know what other people know. Well, I might call Heidi and say, you might have this answer. Heidi's gonna say, I don't have it,
Right.
but I know who does.
Right.
Yes.
Network, network, network.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Oh
it
my
goes back
gosh.
to, even if you don't know, even if you guys have questions that we aren't aware, like we said earlier, and like Jeannie just said, we'll help you find out. You
Yep.
know,
Yes.
we all got to work together, and I
There's
think
plenty
all
of
of us
roofs
are
for
exactly.
Plenty of room.
Everybody's
Plenty of
got to
room.
win, and we want everyone to
Yeah.
win. So,
And I want to say thank you so much to both of you. This has been
of course.
delightful, so educational. I always learn from these. So thank you so much for being on today.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yes, really appreciate it.
Thank you all for watching. A special thank you to Gary Boyd. Thank you for being on here and making our day. And please check out the Jobba directory on Roofers Coffee Shop. You can find so much information in there, articles, all kinds of different things on service. We have so much. It's really the trend for the new millennium. This is what you need. Your company needs to be there. So
have to do it.
Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you again next month for our RLW. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.